Good morning and welcome to the Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar for February 8th, 2023. I am Jerry Hafner and joining me today are the Adult Education team and some very special guests. Let's start this morning off talking about our performance. For the current program year, enrollment, this is really good news. Enrollment is up by nearly 1,700 students. This is a 13% increase when compared to the same time a year ago. Measurable skill gains are up by nearly a percentage point, and HSCs are up by 177. And given all the issues that we have had with HSE testing, the fact that we are ahead at this point in the program year is really good news. Well, here are some fun pictures. Vincennes University recognizes teachers with a special award. It's called the VU Adult Education Top Dog Winner for outstanding service to students. And here you see ABE teacher Rebecca Miller with her Top Dog Award. That's a big, big trophy. And look carefully at the picture and notice our four-legged friend on top of the cup. Rebecca teaches for the Indiana Online Only program and Intel City. Here we have Becky. Becky was named the top dog winner for VU's ELL program. There you see Becky in the center with her students, and I counted when I did these slides, there are at least 25 ELL students in the picture. That's a great, great looking ELL class. And from my top dog, Jasper, to Rebecca and Becky, we say congratulations from the entire adult education team to VU's top dogs. Why is everyone laughing? Don't understand. Well, turning to JAG and Youth Adult Services, Roy is coming after the dogs, and Roy is Bart today. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, I will be covering for Bart today. Thank you for going to the next slide, Amelia. So JAG Indiana State Career Development Conference will be held this month, February 16th, at Martin University and at Grace Church of Noblesville, Indiana. There will also be one February 17th for Region 11, Ivy Tech Evansville. There's another one March 17th at Ivy Tech Community College. I'm not exactly sure which one, but please reach out to Bart so you can get more details about that. Next slide, please. Here we have a group of wonderful folks, Madison Consolidated High School students, as they show off their honors at their regional CDC last week. Let's all give a virtual hand to all these young folks. Next slide, please. Also, Transitional Services Work Group. Drafts for plans serving this population are due at the end of February. Work to implement HB 1359, which is to reintegrate youth back into society after successfully completing their incarceration. JA JobSpark 2023 will be to expand and serve 2,500 additional youth. Dates will be announced September 26th. Dates are announced September 26th and 27th. Ideas, if you have any ideas, please consider to volunteer. And as always, please reach out to Bart for more information. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Roy, AKA Bart. Well, we have a very special guest here today. Molly Dodge is with us. She should be a familiar face to many in adult education. Why? Because she was the Director of Adult Education for River Valley Resources for some time. She is now Senior Vice President of Workforce and Careers for Ivy Tech Community College. And she has today information to share about some new Ivy Tech initiatives. Welcome, Molly.
Well, thank you, Jerry. It's great to be with all of you today, and just know that wherever I go, my heart is in adult education. I sincerely appreciate all the work happening in the field and support your work 100%. The Ivy Tech Workforce and Careers Department as well as our Ivy Tech campuses would love to come alongside you and help serve your students and cross them over into Ivy Tech certification programming. So next slide. Do you have my slides? So in the interim, I will tag onto Bart's report and tell you that the March statewide JAG conference is actually being sponsored by Ivy Tech Community College Workforce and Careers Department. We're excited to host the statewide JAG conference at our C4 building, the Culinary Arts building in downtown Indianapolis. So if you happen to be attending that event, I will see you there.
Hey, Molly, I'm sorry. We loaded the wrong deck. If we could back in and get that, Camelia would do that, and our apologies.
No problem. No problem
Okay.
at all.
Just give us 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'm happy to tell you a little bit about Ivy Tech Community College. I'm sure many of you on the call are familiar with the college, but for folks who happen to be new, I currently work as Senior Vice President of Workforce and Careers for the college. I am one of President Ellspermann's cabinet members. I support all 19 chancellors at 19 campuses statewide, and there are 41 sites. So if ever you need assistance getting connected to representatives at your local Ivy Tech campus, I'm happy to help in that regard. I know many of our chancellors would love to know more about our adult education programs and come alongside your work.
We're still working, Molly. Sorry. Give me a second.
Okay. I don't know if folks can ask questions, but I'm happy to take any questions if folks have questions.
There are no questions yet.
Okay.
I'm trying to call them right now. Well, this is lovely. Camelia, you're still a presenter, so I mean, I know you stopped sharing your screen. You should be able to share your screen again if you've got the new presentation up. I don't know if they can hear me.
Jerry, would you just like me to start speaking, or would you like to go to someone else? I don't want to hold folks up in the interest of time.
No, you're good. Camelia's about ready to bring your
Okay.
slides up. Again, I
Okay.
apologize.
No, not a problem.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I think we're good. Finally, there we go.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for having me this morning. Again, my name is Molly Dodge, and my email is mdodge6@ivtech.edu. Please feel free to reach out to me directly if you would like to be connected to Ivy Tech or have any questions. Next slide. So I was invited this morning really to talk to you a little bit about some emerging programs that are on the horizon, not only for Ivy Tech Community College, but also for the state of Indiana. If you listened to the State of the Union last night, you heard President Biden highlight some of these programs as well, as they are all federal in nature. But I'll start by just talking about manufacturing education. So I don't know if you know, but Ivy Tech awards almost 50% of all the credentials in Indiana's top 12 manufacturing occupations. But with all the work that we're doing and others are doing, including Purdue, there are still 90,000 open manufacturing jobs in Indiana. So we all need to partner to fill this need. Next slide. The first emerging partnership that we have on the horizon is related to electric vehicle battery manufacturing. Currently, this is centered in our Kokomo service area, a partnership between Ivy Tech and Samsung's Stellantis to manufacture electric vehicle batteries. Next slide. So in this partnership, we are relying on some of our current offerings, including our Smart Manufacturing Digital Integration degree. For those of you who, like me, don't have a manufacturing background, essentially that is our Industry 4.0 degree. So that is the Internet of Things, IT, and advanced manufacturing coming together in a degree pathway. We also have our Advanced Automation and Robotics Technology program, the Automotive program, and other manufacturing programs. In addition, for this particular purpose, we are also leveraging some IT programs as well, including data analytics, cybersecurity, and as well as our construction trades, HVAC and construction. Next slide. And so to meet the need for the EV battery manufacturing, we need to embed some additional competencies into our program offerings, including machine tool, welding, and industrial technology. Next slide. And so in an effort to create the curriculum for Samsung Stellantis, we actually visited another community college, Macomb Community College in Warren, Michigan. They have had a long-standing partnership with Global Foundry there, and they have been manufacturing or training battery manufacturing processes for a while. And so, you know, we toured their labs, we discussed their partnership, we shared our curriculum and reviewed their equipment lists. Next slide. And so what we will have in this field, in this emerging field, are certificates in battery technology and EV battery manufacturing. So these certificates and non-credit training will focus on what you see on the slide here: safety, high voltage, technology, charging, recycling, and power systems. We are also coming alongside the Office of Career and Tech Ed and K-14 to develop the appropriate K-14 next level pathways of study to expose more young folks to these careers in EV battery manufacturing. Next slide. And so that will leave EV battery, and now we'll head to the Lafayette service area, where we are beginning to partner with SkyWater to dip our toe in the water of semiconductor manufacturing. Next slide. And so SkyWater was the state's first semiconductor fab to announce Indiana as its home location. And as you can see, during that announcement, we hosted the U.S. Secretary of State, the Secretary of Commerce, and we are continuing our talent pipeline discussions with SkyWater. Next slide. And so just like EV battery, Skywater is also very interested in leveraging our current offerings, including smart manufacturing, in the list that I mentioned earlier. Next slide. And so, in an effort to ensure that we're on the right track, we actually went on a separate trip to Hudson Valley Community College, who has been working alongside semiconductor manufacturers for a while. And we did the same thing. We shared our curriculum, shared the equipment list, and discussed best practices. Next slide. And so what we will have is a certificate in microelectronics and semiconductor technology. And as you can see, the competencies are listed below. We are also working with the Office of CTE on a next level pathway of study, and we'll actually install a clean room in our Lafayette campus as part of this educational endeavor with Skywater. Next slide. So the last sort of emerging area in which Ivy Tech is involved is related to the Department of Defense. Next slide. Specifically in our Bloomington service area, Bloomington, Evansville, we are partnering with Crane, and we are aligning some of our non-credit and academic program offerings to the Department of Defense. We've co-created and launched a DoD-approved logistics management certificate, and we have some non-credit training as well. We're also exploring a partnership with Purdue and Crane focused on energetics, which for all of you at home is the science of blowing things up. And that's an emerging partnership, and more to come on that. All of this, once again, the thread that I'm pulling through this entire presentation is that we will leverage our smart manufacturing digital integration degree. Next slide. So before I leave those slides, I just want to talk about ways in which Ivy Tech and adult education providers might consider partnering, and that's really around the industry certifications embedded in some of our manufacturing programs. We welcome any conversations with adult ed providers about how we can work with you to develop IETs aligned to these emerging industries, semiconductors, energetics, or EV battery manufacturing. And I would be happy to broker those conversations. But before I leave you this morning, one need that I hear all throughout the state is related to CDL. And so I wanted just to take just a couple of seconds and talk to you about a new partnership between Ivy Tech and the Indiana Career Accelerator Fund. And it is, next slide, please. Indiana Career Accelerator is actually an interest-free loan program through the state of Indiana. So the goal of this program is that students will repay their tuition assistance with no interest and fees only if they get a better job due to the CDL credential. So we are using this opportunity to help more students access CDL training across the state on the non-credit side. And the goal of this is really to create a revolving loan fund. Now, there are particular requirements related to student eligibility, and I assure you that actually students will pay nothing if the job that they get following their credential does not exceed a wage of $43,500. So this is really meant to be a way for a student to access this training. We know there's not a lot of grant funding out there for CDL training, and pay it back so that other students can also access the training. Next slide. So we're launching this at 3 campus locations at present. So this is the Fort Wayne service area, Lafayette and Terre Haute service areas. If these are successful, we'll add additional campuses and eligible programs, and we're talking to 3 more campuses who are interested in joining right away, Sellersburg and Richmond being 2 of the 3. And we will launch this spring our IT Academy non-credit offerings, and we will make this vehicle available as well there. So next slide. So I'm just really happy to be with you today and talk to you a little bit about how Ivy Tech is partnering with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation and these emerging industries to ensure that we have the qualified workforce. would love to hear your ideas of how we can partner with adult education providers to increase the pipeline of workers for these jobs. These are high wage jobs, and will help folks make a really good living in Indiana. So thanks, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Molly. Again, I apologize for the technical problems, but it's all good. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, next up is Pam Warner. As you know, she is our Director of Career Exploration and Coaching here at DWD. She has information to share about Indiana Career Explorer and the Work Values Matcher. Hello, Pam.
Hey, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
It's good to see so many of you again. Thanks for letting me have this opportunity to share this morning. I couldn't say hello earlier because of my audio issues. So thank you again, and congratulations on those metrics. That's amazing. Yeah, I just want to talk about very briefly the 3 assessments in Indiana Career Explorer and the importance of taking all 3 of them. So thank you. We'll focus quickly too on the Work Values Matcher. Next slide, please. As you're probably aware, and we're thrilled that Indiana Career Explorer has been live now in all adult ed sites since January 26th. Our birthday was last month. So we're proud of the 3 assessments that were carefully selected to be brief but effective. We want everybody, and we know it's a requirement for enrollment in adult ed programs, but we strongly encourage all users, any age at any phase of their job search or career education planning, to take all 3. We have a career interest assessment, an agile work profiler, which measures agilities. And an agility is a combination of something you like to do as well as what you're good at. If you're lucky enough to find that combination, you're golden. So we have the career interest, the agile work profiler, and thirdly, we have the work values matcher, which is what I want to talk about here now. So next slide, please. But they're all valuable in helping our students see careers that'll best fit them, that'll best suit them. Interest, skills, and values. Once a student logs into their dashboard, logs into their account rather, with their username, they will come right to their dashboard, and it's easily indicated as a dashboard because it will have their name in the upper right. Screenshot indicates mine there. So next slide, please. We're clicking on Take Assessments in the upper left from that dashboard. Clicking on assessments is it's shown twice on each page. We think they're that important. So we are now that we click or take assessments, this takes us right to the assessment landing page where all 3 are shown here. Career interest, agile work profiler for agilities, and then on the far right, the heart icon with the hand is the work values matcher. We're going to click on that one and do a quick run through of that one. And the reason I want to focus on that this morning is it's the only one of 3 that isn't actually integrated into Indiana Career Explorer. We've just had so many priorities in our custom build, as you know, and we still meet with the software developer once a week, twice a week, every other week. So we're still continuing to make it better. But due to so many other big things, we've only integrated the interest and the agile work profiler so far. But what I want to emphasize this morning is still the importance of taking all 3, again, the work values matcher and how to save that, how to still keep it accessible for student records and references and referrals for their job search and their education planning. So next slide, please. We're going to take the work values matcher. This takes us right to the home page, and this is kind of a fun, very quick electronic version of a card sorting game. It's 20 questions, takes less than 4 minutes, I would say. And we're going to click on Get Started. We get that done real quickly. Next slide, please. So, and again, this will eventually be integrated, but in the meantime, we just want to talk a little bit about how to save those results until it is. For example, the career interest, the first one on the left, those load right to a user's dashboard, those interest results. They pick their top 3 careers and it shows pictures of those industries and careers on their dashboard. The agile work profiler emails results right to the user within 5 minutes, but this one takes a couple of extra clicks. So next slide, please. It will eventually be added. So once we complete the work values assessment, this is our results page. And next slide, please. It shows all the things that are important to me, of course. And that's just a quick recap. Next slide, please. Oh, by the way, I'm subbing for Jose today. He developed this PowerPoint, so I'm winging it. He's out this week, so this is his work, and we're happy at any time, of course, to answer questions. But I, again, appreciate the chance to see you. So we come to our results page, and this is how we're going to save them, again, because it's not fully integrated. We're going to click on print, and then this is just how I learned how to save my travel for my expense reports. Click on print, go to destination options, drop down save as PDF, and click save. That will help you. As you all know, I'm sure everybody's more tech savvy than me with everything, but this gets the work values matcher page summary results that we're looking at right here. This gets us saved to our desktop. Next slide, please. Then we're back to our user dashboard, and this is where we can still hang on to those results. So we came back to our dashboard. We're going to go to the document library. You'll see in the upper right section, and we're going to be able to upload the document we just saved. So we can upload an external document by clicking on that bottom tier, the bottom field, upload. And then we just have the option, just as you would loading a picture on your phone or any other attachment on your laptop or documents. We will have the option to upload that. It'll show up in a field here. You give it a title and it's saved. So that's how we save the work values matcher to our student dashboard. We run through it, take it, print it as save, and upload it back from our dashboard. We go to our dashboard, upload it. So next slide, please. That's it. So I'll hang on and happy to answer any questions. And thank you again for using Indiana Career Explorer. We appreciate the support, and we're anxious to work with you. Thanks,
And
Jerry.
Thanks, Pam, and thank you to Jose, who couldn't be here today. Let's move on. Matt is obviously here, and I bet you have a new attendance function in Enters that you want to talk about.
Well, Jerry, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. That is correct. Monday, we debuted to the state the new digital attendance. I've gotten quite a few emails on that. I was just actually on the phone with Steve. We're working through a little issue with some user accounts. So if you have issues with the digital attendance, email enters@dwd.in.gov. I'll get it taken care of. If you need support, remote in with Bomgar, support.sherb.com. One of the things I wanted to note too in this call as well, besides digital attendance, is I've gotten a lot of questions lately. We've got a lot of new people out in the field. I would just want to refer everybody back to Amplify AE page and briefly look over the policies again, especially the assessment policy and the data collection policy, because Enters is basically coded around those policy and federal guidance. So it works based on what the state and federal guidelines are for what's an error and what is not an error. We recently updated the error handout to better explain and add some information for you all. So take a look at Amplify AE and look at that stuff. We're also working on, we're meeting later this week to add more features to Enters to help you guys in the long run of making it more functional for things like we did with the digital attendance. We know it's not for everyone. We understand that, and like IDOC can't use it because they don't have the ability for inmates to even get on a computer. So I'm sorry, we're trying as best we can. Again, this is optional. You do not have to use it. If you've got questions, again, enters@dwd.in.gov, and then support.sherb.com for Bomgar. You can remote in and I can help you right on the spot. Anshu is on vacation, just so you know. So it's just me for right now, which is fine. I've been working on the Enters email box. If you've got any questions, let us know. And that's all I have, Jerry. Thanks.
Well, thanks very much, Matt. And up next is that retired guy, Rob Moore. He has the Indiana Mentoring Project Report. Hello, Rob.
Good morning, everybody, from Santa Claus, Indiana. So a couple things that I've been working with our administrators on this month is first of the month, we have a monthly minders letter that goes out, particularly to our new directors, but it is available to you on the website that IAAC has. Thank you, Jen, for uploading that. It's available to anybody, but I do direct email it to our new directors so they have it. It just kind of summarizes things for each month. Events and tasks that need to be accomplished, and there are a lot in February, including a couple of trips to Indianapolis we need to make. So you can get that. It's the link below there. Also in this month's issue is an idea to increase enrollments that will cost you no money, but because it brings enrollments, it could bring you some money in the next grant continuation year. And then at the end also, speaking of money, one of these days, we will be in grant writing season, and it has a little idea for how you can start on the grant writing process now, even before the grant is released. So you can check that out, the link below, unless it's on your email. We had optional office hours for new administrators yesterday, and it was really awesome. We had a lot of questions about IETs and WI, so I thank Roy for joining us. It was a pleasant surprise to have you there, Roy, and we really appreciated all the input that you gave. It was awesome. So come join us again. It is open to really anybody, but we do kind of directly invite our new administrators to discuss things that are of interest to them. But again, everybody's welcome. I have been visiting our new directors and others I've been working with in person this month. If you need some ideas for an outcome you're trying to accomplish or initiative, and you just need a 20-year veteran in adult education just to bounce some ideas off, give me a call or an email or a text because I can come to your program. Lastly, with DWD and IWC, we are working on an employer engagement video. So thank you for the directors who responded with your employer partner willing to participate. We have about 10 or 12, I think, that we could include. So you have the 15th to let me know if you have an employer partner that'd be willing to appear on a video, state produced, about how we engage employers. I'll get that to Jerry for his DWD video crew on the 15th. And that's all we have from the mentoring side. So back to you, Jerry.
Well, thank you very much, Rob from Santa Claus, Indiana. Well, we now have the spin lady, and not S-P-I-N, S-P-E-N-D, Donna Lovelady with us. Hello, Donna.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here with you today. We are over halfway through the program year, so it's time for us to take a look at our state spending. Next slide. As you can see on this slide, we have almost 60% of state funding that is unspent as of February 3rd. Now, I'm not going to point out that there's about 4.5 months left of the program year. I'm not going to point out that there are 6 programs that have not reimbursed anything yet this year. I'm simply going to ask you to please not wait until the end of the program year to get your reimbursements in, especially if you have state dollars for ABE. We really want to show anyone that's looking at our data that we are using that money throughout the year, and we're not planning to leave anything on the table. Next slide. Just an update on all of the changes to the budgets that we have been doing for your mid-year incentives, program admin split, HSC fees. The DWD contracts team has started work on those budget amendments, and we would like for you to be watching for emails for your designated signatory to reply so that that will go smoothly. And I know that we have been sending out quite a few requests for information in the last several weeks. So thank you all for getting responses back in a timely manner. I promise we don't send those out just for something to do. It's because we need them or someone else is requesting that information. Meanwhile, I am updating your fiscal forms, and we'll send those out to you in the next few days so that you'll have access to your mid-year incentive money and any other fund changes. Next slide. And as always, keep on the watch those emails for application packets for the program year 2023 continuation. They should be coming out in the next few weeks. While you wait, you can prepare by reviewing your application from last year. Start making some updates on that information now, because the applications will be very similar to last year's. Remember that the application time gives you an opportunity to evaluate your program year 22 goals and the progress that you have made so far. So use that information to complete your program year 2023 grant application. That's all I have today. Thanks, Jerry.
And thank you very much, Donna. Laura has information to share about some enrollment information. So good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Jerry, and it's nice to see everyone out in the field. Lots of numbers today. I think 110 of you out there, so it's great to have you all here with us today. Next slide, please. We're going to start by reviewing a survey that was sent out to the field in early January. It was a mid-year point, and we really wanted to touch base with our program directors and better understand how we were doing at a state team level as far as providing resources and supports to the field as we all work to increase enrollment. So we sent this survey out, and we were very happy that we had 41 responses from different programs, and that's a return or response rate of approximately 75%. Next slide. So we tried to gather information on what was working for you out in the field, and one of the things that we found out was that the specific enrollment goals were very helpful. They received a score, an average score of 3.1 out of 4, and 4 being most helpful. So the field told us that this brought some clarity to their staff and to their programs as far as what they were shooting for, and gave something specific that maybe they hadn't had a good handle on before. So we did receive really positive feedback on that resource, which is really more of a strategy. Next slide. And we also had a lot of feedback on the social media information, the trainings and the resources that Camelia Manring, the outreach coordinator, has been putting out there. And you know, she did a lot of trainings on how to use different platforms, and then there was the pre-made social media posts and geofencing. It's really exciting because since this was introduced in September, we've had 858, so almost 900 page views on the social media library, and almost 400 page clicks, which kind of equals downloads. So we're really excited that this was seen as a positive resource, and we have the data and the analytics to back up that it's being used. And then geofencing is being used by several programs throughout the state. Camelia came from Washington Township, where they had successfully implemented this, but also Jennings County, Neo, Muncie are just a few of the programs that have started putting this in place. Next slide, please. So we asked for some suggestions, and you guys are always great with providing suggestions, lots of ideas. A lot of people came back and said, we really want a statewide marketing campaign. And some people had mentioned radio or billboards or television, and we really kind of processed that, and I know that's come up before. What we're finding at the state level as we do a lot of this demographic analysis is that our students are skewing younger. A lot of those 17 and 18-year-olds per that age analysis study we did. And we're really growing in the non-English speaking population. And when you look at those two populations combined, they are not good targets for traditional media. So your average TV, your average radio, what we think of as reaching people is not going to be great at reaching them. Plus, we did an analysis of looking at how much it would cost to really do those types of traditional media statewide, and it's in the millions of dollars. And unfortunately, the only option we would have would be to take that money from what you're doing at a program level, and that doesn't seem feasible. So when we look at a statewide marketing option, when we look at the pre-made social media posts, doing trainings, and then working with the geofencing, that gives you the opportunity to tailor your message to your individual market and reach those younger students and people who don't speak English because of the way social media is able to translate into multiple languages. So we are hearing what you're providing as far as suggestions. There's a lot of training suggestions that came back that we absolutely can look at putting in place within the next few months or even the next year. And then of course, a lot of people came back with funding. We need more funding, and we'll touch on that on the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so we talked about barriers to enrollment growth, and that's something we really wanted to understand at an individual program level throughout the state. And the biggest barrier, no surprise, came back as funding. Once again, we used that scoring scale of 1 to 4, and 4 was the most important barrier, and 18 programs cited funding as the biggest barrier to increasing enrollment. And then we found that there was a lot of difficulty at offering or expanding ELL programs. 8 programs rated that a 4, inability to find new teachers. 7 programs offered or rated that at a 4, inability to reach new students is also up there. And then of course the issues we've had with HSE testing is of course a challenge for a lot of our programs. Next slide. So then you were able to give us other barriers that your programs are facing. And this was really important for us to understand. Here's what's interesting. At the state level, there are so many different variations on what we heard between when we asked people to rate the commonly known barriers and then offer up other barriers on their own. I think it's really important for you all in the field to understand how different the situation is from a program to program basis. So there's not a one size fits all solution or even a 2 or 3 sizes fits all. So it's really helpful for us to understand all the variations that the programs are facing, and then come back as a state team and figure out how can we best support the most programs with the available resources we have here at the state level. So I'm not going to read all of these to you, but you can see on the screen, you know, lack of social media control was mentioned multiple times. Low unemployment was mentioned multiple times. But once again, we really appreciate the open and honest feedback of this survey, and we're going to keep doing them because we really want to understand what's going on in the field and make sure we are checking and adjusting as we put things into play. Next slide, please. So last month, I talked a little bit about a Chamber of Commerce study that reviewed what job skills were being requested through a large-scale study of job postings. And Marilyn sent me this new study from Coursera a few weeks ago. And I just wanted to take a moment and give you an overview of some different information on job skills for 2023. Once again, this came through Coursera, and for people who know what Coursera is, it's an online educational platform. It leverages a lot of college level classes for people to take and earn degrees online or get credentials. And it's used by over 110 million people worldwide. And this study was compiled using 4,000 students and clients. And the clients range from government agencies to businesses to higher ed institutions. So they really wanted to focus on what are the fastest growing skills. And the goals of the report was really to just provide an overview of what they're seeing from these 4,000 students and clients out in the field. Next slide, please. So digital skills is one of the areas they really highlighted. And once again, this is just another way to categorize or provide a definition or common language around digital skills, a range of abilities that allow one to understand, use, create value from technology. And it ranges all the way from the most basic functions of keyboarding or being able to navigate browsers, all the way up to developing software and high-level cybersecurity. And then human skills. In the last report we talked about, the Chamber of Commerce, this was durable skills. We sometimes refer to it as soft skills. And once again, it's another way for us to understand how this is being defined out in the professional space. And, you know, I'm not going to read through that definition, but it talks a lot about critical thinking, collaboration, communication, leadership, decision-making, all the things that we kind of covered last month. Next slide. So the key takeaways from the Coursera study is that the fastest growing skills are digital skills. And like I said, this is really a broad range, but when you're talking about post-secondary courses, a lot of it is software development, Scrum software, agility, language, all those different things that go into writing code. So they talked about using software such as CRM, which is Salesforce, or Tableau, which is a high-level data analytics. So that's where they're seeing the fastest growth. And that makes sense because a lot of that technology is continually changing and being updated. The codes are changing, the languages are changing. But that's just really important for us to understand at our level what we may need to be preparing people if they move on to that post-secondary space and have an interest in that digital skill area. And once again, backing down, what can we do from a foundational level that provides a general preparedness for the workforce? The skills-based hiring is becoming much more important. If you've read the news a couple of weeks ago, the state of Pennsylvania changed the way that they are hiring for a lot of their state positions. They removed the college level degree requirement for approximately 65,000 state jobs. Maryland and Utah did the same thing in the past few months. And really what we're seeing is this mismatch between what our workforce is able to bring to the table with that college completion compared to how many jobs need that credential. So they've kind of looked at reevaluating it and going more to a skills-based or credential, short-term credential-based focus as opposed to making it only college level. And that's what they talk about a little bit in this study as well, how the credentialing is becoming more important, evaluating skills is becoming more important, and that's really important for what we do because that's one area we really shine in. And then off to the right of this slide, the government, businesses, and higher education institutions, they do a great job of putting some words in a framework to how these job skills apply to each of these areas. And so we will be sending the slide deck out. And of course, we are the government side, the need to know which skills build a competitive, modern, and resilient workplace. And you would probably fit more into the higher education institution because you are doing the teaching. So you're teaching the skills that are in demand for the labor market. So hopefully this information will be useful for you. And this will go out, like I said, in a day or two. And I appreciate your time. And I think I'm done now, Jerry. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Laura. You mentioned all the great work that Camellia has done with social media, geofencing, and she's really got some important information that I think you need to hear this morning. She's going to tell you and show you some maps on where our Indiana online only students reside. As you may know, Vincennes University and Monroe County Schools have contracts to provide these services statewide. So, Camellia, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. So to get started, today I'm going to discuss a little bit about where our Indiana online only students, both ABE and ELL, are living so we can get a sense of who is being served. And then we'll do a refresher about how you can co-enroll students in IOO programs. And Laura has been sharing in the last month or so information about the importance of adding Social Security and tax identification number into INTERS. And I have some additional information that I'm going to share as a reminder that you can communicate with your students when you're trying to collect this data. So to start off with, Indiana Online Only ABE program run by Vincennes University serves ABE students in every region in the state and in most counties. And majority of these students, in fact, live in Region 5, as we'll see here in a moment. The map that you're looking at on the left shows where our IOO ABE students live based on the address that they have in INTERS. On the right, you can see this broken up into thirds so that you can get a better view of the state. So as you can see here in Region 5, there's a ton of IOO ABE students, and in fact, the majority of the students that IOO serves are in this Region 5 Marion County area. And we can also see clusters of students in larger urban areas around the state. So now I'm going to show you all how that compares to the ELL students being served by Indiana Online Only, which is run through Monroe. And when we're looking at the ELL, I want you to keep in mind that it is a newer program, and ELL IOO does serve students in all 5 regions and in several counties as well. As you can see, we have our clusters around the state, but most of these students are concentrated in Bloomington and in Monroe County. which makes sense because that's a newer program and that's the sponsor of that program. So this is really important to think about because IOO referrals are not just meant for Vincennes and Bloomington. This is an opportunity to connect your students with services regardless of where you're located within the state. If you don't offer ELL, refer your students to IOO. Don't leave them without services. And if they're worried about issues with technology, then that's something that maybe you can work with them on a one-on-one basis or help them figure out how they could access a friend's computer or a library computer. If you don't have a virtual option, refer students to IOO. If a student comes to orientation but expresses concern about transportation, childcare, or their work schedule, consider referring them to IOO. And it's important to remember that you can co-enroll. If you have a student that comes to orientation, you can take the 12 hours to tape test them in person, get the 12 hours for that student to count for you, and then you can refer them to complete their classes and testing with IOO. This is a great option when you have students who are already in your door and then realize that maybe your class schedule isn't going to fit in with their life and their schedule. So the IOO website is on the screen. I'll be sharing this information again at our regional meetings, and you'll be able to access the website again there. But as a reminder, go to the providers tab on their website, and the student can be referred at any point. And again, I'd like to reiterate, the student will not be co-enrolled until they achieve 12 hours with each provider. Now we're going to shift gears and talk a little bit about the Social Security and TIN, ITIN information. Again, as Laura has reiterated over the last month or so, this is really important to collect because it shows that our students are both employable or employed. And it's important to consider the option of using the TIN, as Laura has explained, which is a tax identification number, because not all our students, as we know, have Social Security numbers. Please reassure your students when you're asking them that 1, we don't share our data with anyone, and 2, the IRS does not share their data with ICE, DHS, USCIS, or other immigration agencies. So the ITIN number, when someone is undocumented, could be an option that we could use to identify them in inters. It's only for tax purposes, and they can get an ITIN by filling out a W-7. Regardless of their citizenship status. Once again, the IRS does not share with the federal immigration authorities. And some other uses for the TIN can be bank accounts, proof of residency in other situations, and sometimes municipal driver's licenses. A lot of other states have statewide municipal driver's license policies. There's movement for that here in Indianapolis, but right now only Fort Wayne and South Bend have that option. And I'd like to finally give one last reminder about Adult Ed Day on February 15th. Please bring photo IDs with you when you come to Adult Ed Day and ask your students, business partners to do the same.
Well, thank you very much, Camelia. Lots of valuable information, and I especially enjoyed the maps, particularly when you look at Vincennes University and how dispersed all the IOO students are in the ABE program. Truly, truly amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that. Up next is Roy, and Roy gets to be Roy this time. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Jerry, and good morning, Indiana. I hope everybody is doing well. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk about some scenarios that when you work with employers, I have a lot of questions sometimes about what do we need to fill out and things like that. So I wanted to go through a few scenarios about what happens on the front end, and then on the back end, what kind of paperwork you need to do to submit to me. So this first scenario, we have an employer that needs employees to have the high school equivalency, or they need basic skills remediation to advance in the company. So in this case, it would be, a WEI only course. And the way you would get your measurable skill gains would probably be through TAPE post testing and getting their high school equivalency as well. For this scenario, you would just need to fill out your IETWI application. Make sure you do question 21. That's where you kind of discuss in more detail the relationship between you and the employer and things like that. And sometimes people kind of attach a Word document for this because they may not have enough space in the Excel. So in this instance, you do not need to include a curriculum because the adult learning plan will act as that curriculum, okay? So make sure you have that on file as well. Next slide, please. In this next scenario, the employer needs employees to increase workplace efficiency by improving communication between managers and non-native speaking employees. This one again would be a WEI only course. Since you're doing remediation, specifically ELL remediation, you would get your gains from doing Class E pre and post testing. And if you are able to get that student up to the TABE level, then you may be able to also get them high school equivalency. For this one, you will also need to fill out your application, question 21, and you would not need to submit a curriculum for this one either, because again, the adult learning plan would serve as the curriculum for those students. So make sure you have that on file as well. Next slide, please. In this scenario, employer needs workers that are competent in critical work areas across the supply chain. So they need their students to get the MSSC Certified Logistics Technician certification because it covers the core competencies that this employer wants. So since they are getting an industry recognized credential, you can make this an IET WI combination course, and you would need to submit your, the way you would get your skill gain would be the IET certification, and this one would be the CLT. And to get this one approved, you would do the application and you would need to submit an IET curriculum. And most people include question 21 from the application at the top, somewhere near the top of the IET curriculum. And again, your IET curriculum, workforce training, contextualized adult education, and the workforce prep, which is the essential soft skills. All right, next slide, please. In this scenario, employees need to learn how to utilize Microsoft Excel to make the data entry process more efficient and create data reports. Now, since Microsoft Excel, we do not allow you to do this one as a standalone IET, but this is something that is significant for your employer. We could run this as a WEI only course. And to get our measurable skill gain here, we would do the progress milestone, and we would just let the progress milestone be the Microsoft Excel certification. All right, and so to get the approval for this one, you just fill out the Excel application, do the WEI curriculum, and again, make sure you answer question 21, which most people usually put that at the top of the curriculum. The next slide, please. Lastly, I just wanted to include some reminders that sometimes people kind of leave off. And I also wanted to say happy 50th anniversary to hip hop. And in honor of that, if you want to make your work clear and pristine, make sure you answer question 16. The total work includes the CERT training, workforce prep, and adult educating. Double check that number for in training. You know, sometimes they be changing. And if you want to feel real fresh and fab, create that course and fill out the Enters tab. Thank you, Jerry.
I am speechless, Roy. Oh, that is fabulous. Oh my goodness. Great job, Roy. You know, sometimes I joke around the office, don't quit the day job, but you might be able to quit the day job. That is really great. Thank you for sharing everything this morning. Megan, I don't know how you top that, but here is Megan. Here comes trouble. Megan?
Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Roy, so much for that good laugh this morning. If I'm going to try to control myself here and get it together. I am here this morning with some updates regarding GED and HiSET and Diploma Center. Next slide, please. I want to give you a brief overview how the relationship is between PSI and how Diploma Center works. So what ends up happening is Diploma Center, when they get scores by PSI, so when PSI scores a test, scores are sent to a database in PSI for transmittal to diploma sender. And this, so everything is basically all the names, date of birth, testing IDs, scores, forms that they took, and the subjects they took are all transferred to diploma sender. So if any one of those missing pieces are not in diploma sender, then the students do not receive their credentials. So if scores are not in diploma sender, students and testers do not receive credentials, and diploma sender is our credentialing service. Next slide, please. So diploma sender, if you receive the official documents on your behalf of your students, please communicate this process with your testers. If you do not communicate with your testers, your students may be required to pay for official documents. So as a reminder, if you were set up to receive official documents on behalf of your testers before the PSI transition, you are still receiving your official documents. I will add, if your students are to receive their documents on their own, once they do credential, diploma center does send out a congratulatory email to those students. So please tell your students to make sure you check their email. In that email, diploma center does tell them exactly the steps they need to take in order to access their official documents. Next slide, please. So diploma center reminder, if you have any questions or concerns regarding diplomas or your official documents, please contact me first. I can look up any information for you, and I see a discrepancy, then I will contact diploma center on your behalf. You'll be copied on the correspondence. I will also mention too that in PSI's database, there has been a date of birth that may have been entered incorrectly. Diploma center cannot fix those errors. It actually has to come from PSI, since all the data does get switched over to PSI, just for your information. Next slide, please. Accommodations. So in 2023, PSI will no longer be using CDs with the paper-based testing. You must send an email to aealerts.com. You'll request a human reader for the paper-based test. This will take about 9 days to schedule. PSI uses a software called JAWS. JAWS must be installed on your computer. JAWS will read the computer-based test to individuals. You may have to coordinate with your IT team if you are in a school corporation. A system override may be required. If your IT personnel can't be there physically, please ensure that you have 2 telephones with speakers so PSI can communicate with your IT individual. Next slide, please. New test vendor. Indiana is now offering 2 high school equivalency tests, HiSET and GED. As a test center, you have the option of providing both HiSET, GED, or both. A webinar for GED testing will be recorded and posted. Next slide, please. So GED in-person meetings on February 21st from 10 a.m. to noon, there's going to be a director's meeting. From 2 to 4, there's going to be a test center meeting, and both sessions are going to be at the Governor South Center South in Indianapolis. There's not going to be any reimbursement for parking. So that is going to be, so the maps that we gave you for the Adult Ed Day, you can use those maps to help you. It's going to be at 10 North Senate, Indianapolis, Indiana. And the conference room that we're going to be in is also going to be on the map for Adult Ed Day as well. Then on February 22nd from 10 a.m. to noon, the test center administration meeting. And then from 10 to 4, the director's meeting. Both sessions are going to be on Plainfield. They're going to be at the MADE facility. It's going to be free parking. That's going to be 1610 Reeves Road, Plainfield, Indiana. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Recommend attendance at least 1 out of 4 sessions. You do not, if you have dual rows, please attend both. There's not going to be a virtual option for this meeting, so please try to get there in person if you can. If you can't, please send someone in your place. Next slide, please. Virtual webinars on February 24th from 10 to 11. GED will present to the PDFs, so please make sure your PDFs can attend. GED will discuss how to prepare students for the test. Next slide. And then there will be a test center quarterly meeting in the fourth quarter, sometime around April 15th, to discuss any HSE updates. So keep that in mind. It is probably going to happen around the 17th is what I'm thinking. So thank you, Jerry. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you very much, Megan. No rap, huh? Well, Amy, can you dance right through professional development? Welcome, Amy.
I will do my best, Jerry. I'm very impressed, Roy, with your hidden talent. Next slide, please. First of all, just a reminder, the Dollar General Literacy Foundation grant, the applications are open right now and due on February 16th, which would be next week. So if you would like a second set of eyes to look at the application, please feel free to share that with me and I can look over that and do some proofreading for you if you would like. The website is located there below, so when the slides go out, you're able to access that directly. There are two types of applications available. There's the Adult Literacy Grant, which is for adult basic education services, providing GED or high school equivalency preparation. It would also apply to HiSET and also English language acquisition. The second grant application is Family Literacy, which has some crossover if you're providing adult education instruction and children's education within one program. There's some crossover, so you might be able to apply for that grant as well. Next slide, please. Pro-literacy has three grant opportunities available. The website is listed below when you have access to the slide. First one is the National Book Fund. The application is due March 15th, so just a little more than a month away. The only stipulations is that you did not receive funds from the National Book Fund in 2021 or 2022. All the materials that are would be purchased through New Readers Press. So there, if you are looking for possibly adding some GED related materials, that you should be able to do that through New Readers Press if you are wanting new materials. Now that GED will be an option as well. The Mobile Learning Fund has a rolling application. These will be used for digital education materials. Once you are approved and accepted, you need to onboard within 30 days. And then the students that you have enrolled in the digital platform would need a minimum of 2 hours per week of activity to remain enrolled in that Mobile Learning Fund or to continue receiving those funds. The third fund is the Literacy Opportunity Fund. Those funds are awarded January 3rd, which has already happened, April 1st, which you would have plenty of time to fill out the application for, July 1st, and again in the fall in October 1st. These funds are for registered nonprofits with a 501c3, and the only stipulation is that the funds not been received in this calendar year. So if you had the opportunity and applied in January, you would not be available, the funds would not be available until next January. But if you choose one of the other 3 dates, then you would still be able to do that this year. Next slide, please. Training opportunities coming up. One was shared by Dan Denniston, who is a career coach for Elwood for Heinz Career Center, in addition to his day position, which is with the Department of Workforce Development in the workforce side. He shared this information with me last week. They have an upcoming training called Remember This series, Beginning Alphabetics Tests and Tools. The acronym is BAT, B-A-T-T. This is not a NRS approved material, but I looked over the material, and if I were teaching an ELL class, particularly to students that do not use the Roman alphanumerics, this would be a very good supplemental classroom assessment and tools that you could use to help those students develop the Roman alphabet and numerics. There's also assistance with English language, English letter sound patterns, sight words or high frequency words, and then it does help improve fluency and comprehension because there's a variety of tools available. The QR code is there. If you can't access it via the QR code, please feel free to email me and I can share the website with you as well. Next slide, please. Another learning opportunity for our teachers who have the need for professional development hours. Links is offering strategies for teacher retention. This might also be a good opportunity for directors to get some ideas on how to help with teacher retention in our current economic situation. That is hosted on February 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The QR code is available. If you cannot access through the QR code, please email me and I'll be happy to share another way. Next slide, please. The professional development quarterly report for the second quarter is due February 24th. Just a couple of reminders. First of all, it is a continuation of the quarter one report. So you can just open up the report that you submitted last fall, and there are spots on the report indicated for quarter two. Just continue filling that out. As you begin typing, the boxes will drop down. So there'll be plenty of space. You can type as much information as you need, and the pages will just continue moving forward and the boxes continue moving down to open up more space. For performance goal 2, which is related to enrollment, we had several questions last fall about tracking that enrollment, about students that left the program at different points before they reached enrollment, whether they finished an orientation or not. For this second quarter report, please just use your table 2A and get a best estimate of students that only took a pretest or have less than 12 hours and maybe your orientation is 6 hours and they have 9 hours, so they might have attended one class. So do an audit based on table 2A, and then you can sort those students based on different criteria and just make a best estimate. And then for next year's professional development plan and report, we'll get some clarification on how better to pull that information more specifically. Then on performance goal 6, which is related to the WEI partnerships, because the PDFs are the primary person filling out the report, please, directors, get with your PDFs to help them complete this section if the PDFs are not directly related to going out into the community and trying to forge those partnerships. They may be lacking some of the background information needed to fill out this part of the report because they're not directly involved. Their participation may be once the WEI is established and building it from that point forward. So if they're not part of that planning and preparation for the WEI, please get with your PDFs and give them and share that information so that they can complete the goal number 6. Next slide, please. Success stories. Just a reminder, we're halfway through the year. Please send success stories to me. I share them with Jerry, and he shares them with our stakeholders and others across the state and even outside of Indiana. So please make sure that you are sending those in so they can be shared so that anyone who is interested in adult education can see that we have successes on many different levels. For the report, for the story itself, Please make sure it is written by the student and in their own voice. So it can be the use of first person, I did this and I did that. You can provide the students with a template of questions and they can complete that template, and then you can help the teacher or career coach can help them transfer those answered questions into sort of a story format so that it can be submitted to the state. So please don't just set students adrift saying, oh, we want to hear your story. Please assist them, but also make sure that it is in their voice so that those people we share the stories with can have that personalized information. Please include in those questions in the template or when you're interviewing the student, ask them why they came to adult education. What is their background that prevented them from getting a high school equivalency, the traditional format, why they decided they needed to get participate in an IET, why their employer asked them to engage in the class through the WEI, why they're involved in ELL classes. Why did they come to adult education? What barriers they have overcome while they are with your program to see success. And then lastly, please include what their future plans are. So where will they go now that they have completed the skills and received their certificate for a WEI or an IET, now that their English language comprehension and speaking ability is stronger? What will they be able to do in the future? Or now that they have a high school equivalency, where will they go from here? So please be sure to send those to me. If you have any questions or would like help setting up a template of questions, feel free to reach out. I am happy to help do that. Next slide. Newsletters. Several programs share their newsletter with me each month. Some have quarterly newsletters, and I really appreciate being included in the email group list that you send those newsletters out. So if other programs have a newsletter that they have within their program or share within their community, I would really appreciate being added to the group email list. I like to share some of the information that I read in your newsletters, and it also provides information for me to help other programs know where they can go so that they can partner with other programs. They can work together. New directors can go to more established directors. When I know the information is available in the newsletter, then I can share that with other programs to help build relationships and make programs grow stronger overall. And next slide, please. Burlington English Mini Conference. I've had several questions about the conference, so I just want to try to clear up any confusion if at all possible. Burlington English has offered to host a mini conference for adult education for anyone using their software platform, anyone interested in using their software platform, and for some general ELL information as well. That will take place on March 2nd. It is in person at in Shelbyville. Blue River Adult Education has generously offered to be the hosting site, and that will be on March 2nd. Then backed up to that, or partnering with that, the state team will be hosting an adult education meeting for directors and PDFs on March 3rd. This will be from 10 to 3 with a break for lunch. It will also be at Blue River in Shelbyville. They've generously offered to allow us the second day as well to use their space, so that directors and PDFs can return a second day. And this will be more general information, not just specific to Burlington English, but more of the format that we had prior to COVID, when directors and PDFs would meet in the Indianapolis area for quarterly or biannual meetings as groups. So the directors will meet in one room, PDFs will meet in another room, similar to the platform we used before COVID. If you are needing to, planning to stay overnight and you're attending both March 2nd and March 3rd. Alfonso from Blue River has shared some hotel information, which is included in this slide, so that if you're planning to stay, you have some close locations where you can stay that will be good recommendations by Alfonso. If you still have questions about the mini conference, please feel free to reach out to me. I encourage any programs that have teachers available on March 2nd that have an ELL background to please join in the Burlington English training on the 2nd. And then again, PDFs and directors will meet on the 3rd. Burlington English also on the 2nd, is offering for a separate space for directors so that they can go over the relationship of a director to the platform that Burlington English offers, and some benefits of using their platform and how it can be implemented in their program, and related topics to directors as opposed to just teaching in the classroom. So there will be 2 separate meetings on both days. Again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. And next slide, please. Then the upcoming professional development facilitator meetings, the next one will be February 24th, which Megan already mentioned. It is a virtual meeting similar to other PDF meetings that we have. I had originally canceled this meeting so that the PDFs could attend on March 3rd. Then GED reached out to Megan and asked if they could meet with the PDFs virtually so that they could provide classroom preparation guidance for helping students to prepare to take the GED. There will be some variation over the HiSET, and so they want to make sure that students are prepared appropriately for taking the GED. So we have put the February 24th PDF meeting back on the calendar. The link that went out earlier this year that has the entire series of meetings, that link will work. So if you have that link on your calendar, just save it. It will work. On the 23rd, I will again send out a reminder, just like I always do, for those who do not use Outlook, and there will be invites do not automatically save to their calendar. Then on March 3rd, again, is the PDF and directors meeting, which is in person, which is in conjunction with the Burlington English mini conference. And that is all I have for today. And thank you everyone for joining us. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Jerry, back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. I bet Jen has some information to share about all the activities next week. Welcome, Jen.
Yeah. All right. It switched microphones on me. I have no breakdancing moves or hip hop like Roy, but I do have a lot of information, and we will start with the next slide. A news release went out with the essay contest winners, and each and every essay winner received an email from myself with a letter formally telling them that what place they were, if they were honorable mention or first place, and that they were invited to the day. The reference page, the IAACE.com Adult Education Day, is the official invite page. It is where the RSVPs go to. Essay winners were directed to RSVP. It will be very helpful for all the organizers to know who exactly is coming, so that we can make sure that we have a nice flow and get the whole thing done in the hour that we are promising. So if your student is on this list and you were not copied, or you don't know if the student has RSVP'd, please reach out to me so that we can make sure that they did indeed receive their letter and that you guys are aware of it. And on the next note, whenever it comes to Adult Education Day, next slide, is the business partners. They also received a letter from myself via email copying the individual who sent in the recognition. They are also directed to the Adult Education Day invite with the expectation that they will RSVP and let us know how many are coming and that they are for sure coming. I know that some of you have already reached out to them with a follow-up. I greatly appreciate that. If I will let you know if they do not RSVP within the next couple days. But it would not hurt to go ahead and reach out to them and check in with them, making sure they understand that they're going to be recognized, how excited you are. Any reason that, any reason to get recognized at the state is a good reason to reach out to them, just to let them know that you thought of them and that you hope that they can attend. So please follow up with all of the partners that you've been recognized, that you sent in for recognition. And next. Now, I've had the question of what legislators are going to be there. Well, the legislators that you invite are more likely to be there than any invitation or any press release that we send out, because you will personally invite them. And we've made it super easy for you to do that. There is a thank you first and an invite letter at the website here listed on the screen. You can download that, customize it towards your legislators, your information, and then send an email. Probably a little late to actually do snail mail, the US mail, but if you never know, it's worth a shot. Definitely send it by email, maybe even follow up with a phone call, voice message, letting them know that you sent them something. The gift, for a lack of a better word, which is a block calendar made by the Department of Corrections. With, obviously, it'll be delivered on Friday with February 15th in the calendar. And it also will include a yummy cookie and the invitation with all the details to each and every legislator, thanks to our Representative Davis staff, who will be delivering those on Friday. So with that invite and your personal invite and the news releases that will be sent out, hopefully we can have many legislators attend just to attend. Now, of course, there are legislators that are a part of the program, like Representative Davis, Representative Pack, and Senator Crane, I believe, have all RSVP'd. So the day can be more successful if you are doing some invitations and you're making the follow-ups. So I will certainly help. There is a link on the advocacy page as well if you need assistance with finding out exactly who your legislators are. No harm in that. So utilize that information, and this is the day to do it. So schedule yourself some time to go ahead and get that done. Next slide. All right. We've got a little echo going. I'm not sure why, but the Virtual Institute is right around the corner. And more details will be provided, but I will let you know that we are working on a great lineup of sessions for digital skills and advocacy. We've heard a lot of questions on how do I contact my legislators? What do I say? And we are going to have a session especially on that intro to advocacy, on what to do, and lots of sessions on digital skills that perhaps the staff may need, but also how to work with your students in digital skills. If you are interested in presenting, or if you just have something in particular you want us to offer during this, then please reach out to me. And stay tuned for details on the IAACE.com Virtual Institute page. Next slide, please. Perhaps you saw an email about the Nomination Election Committee. The nominations closed a few days ago. We received 13 nominations overall. And I will just let you know that I'm telling you this mainly because there is a significant gap between the nomination process and when the ballot will come out. We did move that up from the date that I have there on Wednesday. Well, it'll be released the last week of March. So stay tuned for your ballot for the IAACE board. And then I will also let you know we had replaced Tech Talks with a digital skills lab. The Thursday we did video conferencing, talked all about Zoom and some other options, gave some tips on speeding through and also how to help your students with the Zoom as well. There's a whole lineup of all kinds of things that we're going to be offering in regards to that, and they are available on the digital skills page on the website. Have you followed a plan that everything's available on the website? I hope so. I'll let you know officially that the 2023 annual meeting, forgot to change that year, is Friday, May 5th at 9 a.m. Central. Note that it correlates with the Virtual Institute. Please register to attend the meeting at the link that you see on your screen. Again, that's 2023's meeting, not 2022. And the Indiana Literacy Association and the IAACE will partner on their annual meeting to make the bylaws work for both organizations with one meeting. And next slide. Have you heard? Well, if you haven't heard, maybe you're under a rock, but our IAACE Adult Learner of the Year has officially won the COABE Adult Learner of the Year. Maybe you remember whenever I harped and harped and harped at you guys to nominate those that won, nominate those that you nominated for our awards. Well, Danny took that advice. She nominated. Mallory will basically be going to COABE. She's got that $2,000 scholarship, and Danny gets to go as well. So all because she nominated. Big congratulations to Mallory. She truly is a lifelong learner, and we can't wait to be a part of her celebration at COABE in April. Next up. And obviously, you know that with IAACE, you get a COABE membership. And Meryl and I talked about this last year whenever we were at COABE, and we want to make sure that we can gather the Indiana representation at COABE. So we want to know if you're going to COABE. I know I'm going, Rob knows he's going, obviously Mallory and Danny are going, Marilyn's going, who else is going? Please let me know by just sending me a short email, and we'll organize some Indiana representation at COABE so that we can, one, make sure we sit in a big, huge group and our cheers will be heard very loudly for our Adult Learner of the Year, Mallory, but maybe some other cool and exciting things too as far as presentations. So please reach out to me if you're going to COABE. And next up, this is your reminder list of all the dates and stuff that is going on for IAACE, plus a few little extra things. You'll find all of this information on the calendar of events page on the IAACE.com page. I try to put absolutely everything that I get. So I'll shout out to Amy again that if she wants to copy me on all the things that she sends out for PDFs, I try to make sure those are on there. All the state webinars that they offer, all of that information is on there in one place so that you can easily go. And if you haven't gotten it by now, where do you find information about IAACE and all the things that are related to Adult Education Day? Jerry, I bet you know the answer, don't you?
Why don't you tell them?
website. Yes, iaace.com. You can find it there. I guarantee it. So take a look. If you have any problems with finding something, there's a great search key in the corner. And then, of course, there's the box that pops up with me where you can ask me directly just to help you find something. So thanks so much for having me today.
And thank you, Jen, so much. Well, thank you for joining us today. The next Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar will be, as you see on your screen, on March 8th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Matt, do you have any questions for us? Donna is here, ready to answer questions.
Well, Jerry, I have a couple of questions, but first,
All right, shoot.
we need to give a big shout out again to Roy, because everybody in the questions just went nuts over that. You know, great job, Roy. Get after it. Well done. Even from our lovely boss, Marilyn. So she was down with rapping. So the first question I have, I think, goes all the way back to the start of the slideshows, and it's for Molly, I believe. And it's from Abby Martin. Do students need to fill out FAFSA form to qualify for the next level jobs? And Molly, I will unmute you.
Well, that's a great question. And I think it depends on the actual, whether it's a credit program or a non-credit program. So, and we have other grant funds besides next level jobs. So what I'm going to really suggest is that I connect you with your local campus and you explore all the possibilities, because campuses have private grants and foundation grants, and they really, really want to work with your students. So I'm going to say no door is closed, and I'm happy to connect you to your local campus. Just, Matt, can you send me a little note?
Sure.
So I can get connected to Ashley? Thank you.
Okay. I will send that email here in just a minute. The next one we have is from our very own Rob Moore, and it is in reference to the ITN number, the TIN number. Can you enter the ITN number into INTERS? That's the tax identification number. Yes, you can. If it is in the 9-digit format, it should work. If you get an error message that says this is not correct, or then it is not a valid number that INTERS will recognize and let me know, and we will work on it. Okay, so the next one is all in reference, everything that I got besides the very, very last question is all in reference to Megan's meetings. For the 4 meetings on the February 21st and 22nd, there was some confusion on who needs to attend and how many they need to attend. Are all 4 sessions the same agenda content? Are they all 4 different? Because you said that if you have dual roles, you need to attend 2 of the meetings. So can you just clarify who needs to go to what meetings, please?
Yes. So if you're a director, you need to try to go to the director's meeting if you can. If you are a TCA, you need to go to the TCA meeting. So there's going to be 2 days of 2 different options with 2 different times. So you pick, as a TA, you pick 1 time and 1 day. As a director, you pick 1 time and 1 day. So if you can attend both in 1 day, that would be great. But if you can't attend, please try to get someone to go in your place. So if you're a director, you may only need to go to 1, and in your TCA, you would only have to go to the other.
So is that good, Nikki and Jennifer? That came in from several different people that they were confused on who and when and which ones to attend. So I would say read the email and go to the courses that you need to go to, the meetings that you need to go to. All right, so we have one. It's for Donna, but it's not really for Donna, but maybe it is for Donna. And it's from Lisa Cruitt. Does Donna or anyone else have statistics on the number of programs that made their incentive goals? Donna just shut her camera off.
Laura is going to answer that question.
I figured that's where it was going.
Okay, we had, we had, there we go. We had 27 programs hit the enrollment goal, and we had 30 programs hit the Table 4 goal, but only 20 programs hit both goals. So hopefully that provides a little bit of insight. So 27 on enrollment, 30 on Table 4, and then when you combine the two, there were 20 programs that hit both.
And just as a clarification, how many total programs do we have, Ms. Laura?
We have approximately, well, 54, but
Okay.
when you take that down to fiscal agents, it changes a little bit, but there
Sure.
were 54 programs eligible to hit that goal.
Does that answer your question, Lisa? We good there? Any other questions? Because if not, we're good, Jerry.
Very good. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you on March 8th as well. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.